Hello, everyone. This is the Movie Night Society. It's just Will and I again, and we're talking about VHS 99, the new film on Shudder. Yeah, this is the newest. This is the fifth installment of this series. Uh, it's an anthology series, which means that every film is comprised of like 4 to 5 different shorts. I think like VHS Viral had like only 3. But yeah, thankfully. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the whole series, but it is something where you don't have to see every movie in it, which is good. Because yeah, it's an anthology, which means that each one is comprised of different short films from different directors, and yeah, each short is just like a standalone thing, but compiled into a feature film. Yeah, we've watched almost everyone. You haven't seen all of VHS Viral, which I watched it again recently, and I agree that you don't need to see it all. And yeah, like we saw VHS 1 and 2 when they came out. I don't remember. I don't think we did VHS Viral together. Like otherwise we would have watched the whole thing.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Your mic is still weird. I don't know why. I don't know if it's my setting or whatever.
I don't know. I disconnected and everything already, so I've kind of done everything that I can do.
Shoot, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like my AirPods or whatever. Maybe let's just try not using the AirPods real quick.
Okay. Technical difficulties.
See, now you sound okay.
Okay. Then the review shall go on.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone.
Technical difficulties, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if that picked up for the recording or anything, but Will's audio sounded really like it was like submerged in water. It was really bizarre.
As you can see, I'm not submerged in water.
Yeah. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. Oh, I don't like that implication at all.
Yeah, where were we? We were talking about VHS, the series. I really liked this series, especially 2, and I really liked the last one, VHS 94, which was the first VHS film for like 7 years. VHS Viral was like 2014, and then yeah, 94 just came out last year. I think like VHS Viral kind of like effectively killed the franchise for like a little bit. But yeah, it came back with VHS 94 on Shudder, and that was like, I think it was like the biggest premiere on Shudder to date or something, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I really liked the last one and 2. Would you would agree, right? Like 2 and 94 were both pretty solid.
Yeah.
And yeah, Viral is not good. You know, well, we'll get into this movie, the newest one, 99. But I think while watching it, you and I watched it together, and I said after one of the shorts, like, this might be the worst VHS short in the whole series. I watching VHS Viral, no, the wraparound segment in VHS Viral is the worst short. It's like utterly like incomprehensible. Like, it's so bad. So yeah, that one's a skip. I like the first film too, but I do think it's a little bit long. It's like a 2-hour movie, the first film.
Wow, I don't remember it being that long.
But the yeah, I know, right?
It's been a long time since I've seen it though, so
yeah, I watched it last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember now. But it was still good. I still liked it. But definitely like kind of slow. And yeah, it's like 2 hours, so it's definitely a lot of just kind of waiting for things to happen in that movie. But yeah, we'll talk about the new one now. We watched it together, and I think it's easiest to just go in order of the segments and just talk about them individually. And there's really no wraparound segment in this one. Like the other films all have a segment where like there's some kind of storyline going through between each of the shorts. That is usually about like people finding the tapes that the shorts are supposedly on in this universe, and like yeah, this one doesn't have that at all. The wraparound segment is kind of like it's just sort of interspersed between the shorts, and then it is a short. So we'll just talk about that one all together. And let me get the names of the shorts just so we can kind of have some form of consistency here. Let's see. Okay, so the first short is called Shredding. Yeah, this one's bad.
Yeah, we had a hard time even figuring out what was going on because the camera was so shaky the whole time, and we weren't really sure if it was what was the term called for it that you
Oh,
were using?
found
Like
footage or just like
no, like
oh, the wraparound, yeah.
wraparound, yeah. That the other ones have, but this one didn't. So we weren't even sure if this is the wraparound or the opening segment. So that
Yeah,
was kind of throwing us off to begin with already. And then this had probably like what the most annoying characters.
yeah, at least in this movie,
And yeah,
VHS Viral definitely has some annoying characters for sure. It reminded me of the last segment in VHS Viral, which is like all about these like kind of annoying teenagers who are like skateboarders and they're like filming skating tricks and shit like that. But in that one, it was actually a little bit funny. That short really suffered from just really weird editing and pacing. And I would say that this one, the first segment in VHS 99, Shredding, definitely suffers from like a lot of really bad editing and poor like just like it's so hard to like tell what's going on at times or like what it's trying to do, if it's trying to be funny or scary. There's like no real clear tone to it. uh yeah, the characters are really obnoxious. You just like wanted I don't know. I remember just like saying that like I want these characters to die, or like at least one of us said that, and it's just like
or we wouldn't be upset if they died.
yeah, definitely. Like there's one character in it. I guess we should explain what happens in the short, even though it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
guess
hard to
we'll.
describe.
Yeah,
Okay, this short is basically about like a a rock band, like these like teenager, like kind of like they're in a punk band, these teenagers, and like uh they've heard this story about this other rock band from the 80s that like performed, I don't know, in like a sewer or like in a tunnel or something. Where was that place?
I was never really too sure, to be honest.
Yeah, some like nondescript, like dank looking underground area or something. I don't remember what it was. And they basically go in and uh well, they're like, yeah, let's play in this place where this other rock band like died, because I think there was like a something happened, and there was like a someone got, I think like the band got trampled or something like that as people were
Yeah,
running out because they played down there, and something happened. So like the rock band there died. I don't remember the name of either band. I think the like the 90s one, like the teenage punks were like, oh god, I can't even remember.
I
I'm trying
honestly
to
can't
remember.
remember what they were called either. If it
I
makes
have
you
the
feel any better.
I have the Wikipedia. Oh, Rack, because they're. I think it was like an anagram. It's an anagram for their names. Uh, yeah, they're like, oh yeah, Rack, uh, we're gonna play in the same place that this other rock band died, and they go down there and they're playing pranks on each other. One character is like really annoyed with the other three, understandably, and doesn't like that they're essentially like kind of disrespecting this other band by going down and like being like, hey, we're gonna play on like this place where these people died, um but I mean, okay, like if you're a punk band, like that's a pretty punk thing to do. But
Mm.
it really presents these characters as just like obnoxious. They don't
And they
really
were
have,
very
I mean,
obnoxious.
they really don't even have character. That's kind of the problem. It's like none of them really feel defined other than the guy who's just more annoyed with the others. That's kind of it. And then yeah, they go down there and then surprise, like the old punk band comes to life as zombies and then kill each of them and then make them perform a show, which was the only kind of cool part of the whole short, in my opinion. Like the zombies looked good, like the makeup was pretty cool, and I liked the idea of them like kind of whatever puppeteering them or manipulating them to like play a show, even though they're like all dead. But other than that, I don't know. Like that, this segment was really like it should have been cut out of the movie, especially because it's already like 140 something minutes, and I think I went back and tried to see how long it was, or we might have checked while we were watching it, and it seemed like if you cut out that short, it would be like a solid hour and 30-minute movie. Um, which I'm pretty sure the last one was too. Like I don't remember the last one, dragging too much or anything. Um, oh, well, the last one was 100 minutes. So, but this one definitely could have been cut. Like I don't know what was there like merit to it other than
No, not really. I think immediately when this was over, we were both just thinking like that was not very good. Couldn't think of like
yeah,
anything that was
and
good about it except for some of the makeup
yeah, the
was
makeup was cool.
fine. And you I remember you said like some of the gore I guess was fine.
Well, it was fine, but it was like they get killed off screen, which was like dumb. Like you want to see the cool kills, like especially as a horror fan. Like this is like a horror franchise, series. Like why not show the kills? So
Yeah, I remember you saying something like that after we saw it. That was pretty much all we said, and the fact that it was not very good. Because none of
yeah,
the
it was.
characters were really likable. Like you said, it just felt like nothing happened for the most part. The payoff was kind of at the very end, but it's pretty weak payoff.
Yeah, it's really darkly filmed. It's hard to tell what's going on at times. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Should we rate each segment of this film?
I guess we could.
Because I actually did. I went through because I've seen all five of the films now over the course of the like last couple of years. So I went back and rated them all. So I did rate these ones, and I would give this one like a 1 out of 5. Like it's not the worst thing I've seen. It's not getting a half star or anything, but like it's really bad. Like I usually try to be, a little more forgiving, especially with like horror and short films. It's like you're obviously doing this on a low budget and everything, and that's it's like it's tough to make a movie, but I just I don't know. It really just came out with almost no redeemable qualities to it. So yeah, 1 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you were saying. I can't think of like any redeeming qualities really in this short to me. And don't think it's that hard to at least make some likable characters. None, just like all the characters were just annoying teenagers, and like more
Yeah,
than usual. Because I've seen other movies where it's like, yeah, the teenager's kind of annoying, but it
but
just
you can understand it, like, oh, they're teenagers, you
yeah,
know?
these ones were just mean.
Yeah, they were like just really playing pranks on each other when like
And
the
not
one.
only that, but you know, they're doing this. I thought they like admire the band.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought that too. That's the weird thing. It
but
doesn't
then, but
feel
then,
like that though.
yeah, because we see the scene where they like make the fake dummies of them and then like
Oh
reenact
yeah,
them
and
being
then they just like
trampled.
start, yeah, they just trample
Like,
them. It's
I
like,
thought you guys liked them. You're almost like making fun of them.
yeah, yeah, especially when they first say like, oh, they're going down into this place to play there. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's, I feel like that's something you would do if you were a band and you admired another band. You would play where they were, right? Like that's almost like a,
Yeah,
you know, playing on holy ground in a way for like that, like music or whatever you like. And but then yeah, they just seem to make it into like a joke, and it's yeah, really makes them unlikable, and it's like I don't,
yeah.
so yeah,
Happy
one,
to see them die.
yeah, one star for me. I don't know about
I'm probably gonna do half star.
that. I think that's fair, honestly. Like I thought about it though, and okay, after watching VHS Viral, I was like, okay, this
Like,
doesn't quite deserve a half star. Vicious Circles, the wraparound story in VHS Viral, is like a one, is like a half star to me. That was
well,
fucking
since I don't have that as a reference, this is getting a half star. Maybe
yeah.
it will get bumped up to 1 star if I see VHS Spiral
Well,
again.
don't. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't plan to. So
it's really bad. And that movie is like an hour and 20 minutes, I think, and it's like it feels like 3 times as long as these other films. I don't, maybe not 3 times as long, but like man, the wraparound story is really fucking like not good.
mm,
I actually think some of the shorts, like the actual segments in that film, are like not too bad, and they have some creativity to them, but they're not like some of the best of the franchise or anything like that. I usually think at least like every VHS film has at least like one short that is like, okay, go see it for this one, you know, or like maybe there's like a couple that are like pretty good. Um, like I really liked the Ratma segment from '94, Safe Haven from VHS 2, Amateur Night from VHS 1. The best short in VHS Viral is like the middle one, and I thought it was solid, like good, like 3 star, but I don't know. It's not like oh, you got to see this one. Um, anyway, but yeah, I thought of honestly, I'm bringing up VHS Viral too because like watching this first short in VHS '99, I was like, oh god, this isn't going to be another VHS Viral, is it? And and at that point, my saving grace was, or like my hope was like, okay, even if most of the shorts are bad, I think the one that is done by the people who did Deadstream will be good, and we'll get to that one. But yeah, I think I'll write down our ratings just to for whatever prosperity here. Yeah, shredding. I give it a 1 out of 5. You can give me a half a star.
yeah, seems fair to me.
Yeah, honestly. Okay, the next one. Uh, what was it?
The
Suicide Bid.
suicide. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, this one was really refreshing after shredding. Uh, I like the premise of this one a lot. Uh, it's essentially about this girl who wants to be a part of this sorority, and I didn't understand exactly what the suicide bid meant, but essentially she has to do like uh you know, like a whatever, like a hazing or
I think what it meant is if like she didn't get into this one, the sorority that she wanted, like she wouldn't be able to join any other ones, and then oh,
oh,
you'd
okay.
be an outcast. Like it says
Okay,
you
that
wouldn't
makes
belong to
sense.
one. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So yeah, she really wants to get in this one, and they have this ritual. She and 4 of the girls that are in the sorority uh go to a cemetery, and they tell them about this old legend or whatever of what was the fisherman's name? Oh, it's apparently there's like a Wikipedia article link from Gil- Guillotine. Yeah, it's like some fisherman was dared to like bury themselves in a coffin for whatever a certain amount of days, and then I think they stayed in there for too long, and then when people came to retrieve them, they vanished, they were gone. And it's like, oh, their ghost still roams and whatever. So the challenge that is put on this girl is to like go into a coffin and stay in the coffin uh, overnight. Uh, and it's a very simple premise, but it's very effective. Like I liked the claustrophobia of it, and uh, just like it does a pretty good job of building it up. Uh, and like she gets in, there's things like, oh, they give her a box, and they're like, oh, when you think you're like gonna ring the bell to tell us like to take you out of there, because they like have a bell like going into the coffin that she can ring on a rope, and they're like, when you feel like you're gonna ring that bell, because once you ring that bell, like you can't join the sorority, you're out. uh they're like, yeah, you open this box, that's your last hope. And almost like she like almost just uh she like almost like immediately starts freaking out like when she's in there, because it's claustrophobic and dark. They give her a camera to take into the coffin for a light and to record whatever. uh it's probably just a way for the other girls to like watch later and laugh at her. uh and this is another one where the characters, the four women in the sorority, are like definitely unlikable, but they're like meant to be. That was like the point. Almost feels like, I don't know, like a Mean Girls type of situation or something. But like, yeah, they're like, oh, this last hope of this box, you should open it. She opens it after like freaking out and is like about to pull the rope. She opens the box and like is just full of spiders. It's like, damn,
Big spiders too.
what a dick move.
Hmm.
Like,
And of
jeez.
course, she's gonna really ring the bell after that because now she's in the coffin and there's a bunch of spiders in there.
Yeah,
And it's like, I think when we were watching, oh, watch, she's gonna like ring the bell even harder now, and they're just gonna laugh and not let her out.
yeah. And then, yeah, they don't let her out right away. Uh, uh, well, they don't let her out at all, but that's because some groundskeeper or whatever,
Yeah,
uh,
shows up, and they're
yeah,
afraid
shows
that
up.
they're gonna get expelled, so they decide, oh, we'll come back later.
Yeah,
We never,
but then,
like, what does later mean? We don't know. I mean, we
yeah,
do know because, but then it starts raining, like a
yeah,
pretty good downpour, and you start seeing, the ground above get really wet. So of course, it turns into mud, and it's just sliding down the hole. It's like, oh, she's
yeah,
gonna get really buried, and now that she's gonna be under mud, and it's wet, and it's gonna be heavy, and you kind of start knowing what's gonna happen.
yeah. That was really the escalation of this one was pretty well done, I felt. Uh, and then the ghost of Guillotine actually does show up, in from the outside of the coffin, because there's like a little window in like a cross shape into the coffin, and like Guillotine like pops up, which is a pretty good scare. uh and yeah, and then this is kind of like another reason why I feel like the first short should have been cut, is that basically like after this point, yeah, she gets buried and drowned in the coffin. uh and then the four sorority girls like go back, and it's like just the hole for the coffin is just like filled with water, and one of them goes in, and they're like, she's gone. It's like, oh shit, well, of course it's going to be the repeat of the guillotine thing. And they're all like, let's never speak of this again. It's kind of like I don't know, like a I know what you did last summer kind of thing, where like, oh, a bunch of teenagers or college students play a prank on someone and then they disappear, and then a killer comes later to kill them all. But then it just cuts to the girls already in the coffins, and I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of weak. Like it needed just a little, like at least one more scene of like the girls back at the sorority, and then maybe they're, I don't know, doing something like they're just like in their dorm, and then guillotine or the girl, I don't know the character's name, but like the girl who drowned comes in as a ghost. I mean, I think we watched Creepshow at one point. There's a segment in Creepshow where like people are drowned and then they come back to kill the person who drowned them, and they're like these watery looking ghosts and stuff, and it's like it's really cool. But it's like this segment needed a scene like that and not just cut to their punishment. Like, I don't know, it just felt like kind of poorly paced, which is like really my only complaint with the segment. But it's like it's enough that it felt like the story was not totally there for me, not like solid. But yeah, I still like this short quite a bit, and again, very refreshing after the first one.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot better than the first one for sure.
Yeah, this would have been a good one to start with, I feel. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about this one?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. It's got a really good setup and build up and everything. It's just the ending is kind of abrupt because it just kind of cuts them in the coffins, and I don't know. It just felt like a little anticlimactic
Yeah,
a bit.
and I mean, it's like that's exactly what needs to happen, is like them being in the coffins. I don't want them to like. I don't need a whole slasher movie where like they all die in different ways and shit like that. But
Yeah,
just like,
just could have felt like could have built it up a little bit more. Just felt
yeah,
like kind of
something.
abrupt the way they did it, but still like it was pretty solid overall.
Yeah. I don't know. You rate this one first.
Uh, Gosh, I don't even know what to give this. I'll probably give it probably like a 2.5.
Yeah, that's what I
Like it's
would give it.
pretty solid. Like I said, you actually care about the main character this time around. You feel sorry for her. It's got a really good idea, a good setup, the way it escalates. Um, it just has a little bit of a weak ending where could have been built up a little bit more. So it falls flat a little bit there, but like everything else is pretty solid about it.
Yeah, it just needed to do like one extra step to get that like 3 from me, I feel. So yeah, but yeah, not a bad short at all. Like I thought it was
Yeah,
still pretty good.
a lot better than the first one, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the next one, Ozzy's Dungeon. Uh,
Oh boy, this one.
yeah, this one's interesting. This one essentially, and I mean it's obvious we're spoiling things, but I will say, if you aren't like super convinced on this movie or anything, I think maybe try out this one, because it definitely takes some turns that were really weird and interesting and funny. Uh, so if you don't want to like hear spoilers, like to stop here.
I think this was also one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in a
Yes,
movie. Like this
very
was
strange.
just so bizarre. I'm not even exaggerating. This is one of the most bizarre things I've seen, especially like in a horror movie. Like it's up there.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
strange.
we should talk about just like how these films are kind of made. Essentially, what they do, I feel, is they essentially like commission different directors to like make each short, right? Uh, so the first 2 segments of this one, I didn't know the directors at all. Um, this this one, Ozzy's Dungeon, is done by Flying Low, who I believe is a rapper. Let me just check that. Where Wikipedia. Yeah, he's like a rapper and DJ, and but he made a movie called Kuso. Um, I don't know how long ago, maybe 2016, 17. And I heard that one was like really gross and weird. I haven't seen it yet. Uh, and I think just even knowing that was, I still wasn't quite prepared for this one. Like it was, yeah, this one takes some directions that are very fun. Essentially it starts off like a 90s game show, like you said, it was like double
It,
dare.
it reminded me of Double Dare.
Yeah, just Nickelodeon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, where like kids would go on like obstacle courses and stuff, and they'd have to do things that are kind of like I mean, like the Nickelodeon slime thing was a big thing, so they get slimed or whatever on that show. But yeah, this Ozzy's Dungeon thing is like an obstacle course, and uh the obstacle course is like going through something, going through Ozzy or some kind of animal or something, right? It's like going through like intestines and then like the mouth and all this stuff.
Yeah, it like I said, it reminds me of those type of shows where it has like this kind of gross looking obstacle to go through.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm pretty sure like Double Dare, and I'm sure other shows like that did that kind of stuff. Like, ooh, this is supposed to be like vomit, but it just looks like it's not really vomit and stuff like that. But gross stuff like that, that you have to
yeah,
like crawl through or something along those lines. So that's there in this where they have to like go through intestines and go out a butt, and they have like
yeah. And there's
poop
like,
and everything.
yeah, it's really
But like,
gross.
yeah,
uh but, but so this segment like is I felt like very authentic feeling, like just the sort of presentation, like the framing of this short was really well done. It looks like something from the 90s, I feel. uh and that's another thing to mention about this and the last VHS film is like they take a year and sort of like make everything look like it's from that year, which was nice, except for one segment in the last one. But that one was so good that like I think it passed. Uh, but like this one definitely takes the kind of era specificity or whatever like pretty well. Uh, I do think like the punk segment did feel like very 90s too, like in terms of just like I feel like punk rock was a little bigger in the 90s, or like garage bands were, especially because of like Nirvana. Uh, but yeah, this one like it's very fun. The host of the game show is played by Stephen Oog or Og, who is probably most famous for playing Trevor in GTA 5. And like as soon as I saw the guy, I was like, this guy looks really familiar. I'm like,
yeah, you did.
is that Trevor from GTA 5? Like, what the hell? Because especially with these kind of short anthology segments and stuff, you don't like really expect them to have anyone even like remotely recognizable. Like I can't think of anyone in these shorts that I'm like, oh, I know that character, like I know that actor. Unless it's maybe like someone from other films that the director did. Um, but like this one, it was cool to see Stephen Ogg in it. Uh, he's very funny as the game show host. There's a lot of parts where he just seems like so like flippant about like the kids, and like doesn't really care what's happening to them, and he's like shoves them away and stuff like that. Very funny. Like it's obviously very exaggerated. Like I don't think they could get away with that in a real show, but very very funny. Um, but yeah, so this first part of the short is like this game show thing, but it ends with these two kids are racing on the Aussies like obstacle course, and the end of like I don't know, I don't know, like a foot away from the goal, this one girl just like breaks her leg, like snapped in half, pretty much, and like it just ends in like this horrific moment. And you're like, oh my god, what the hell? And then I thought that was going to be the end of the short. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
probably
about
could
you.
have just ended there. I think I was expecting it just to end there too, because like, okay, that wasn't really scary, but that went from 0 to 100 really quick. Because it's not like she just broke her leg; like it gets snapped in half, and there's blood
Yeah,
everywhere,
you like
and it's
see the
like, what?
bone and
Yeah, and
everything.
it's like,
It's like
how did that even happen? First of all,
I think what happened is she was like crawling out of like the colon or whatever of the obstacle course, and the guy
yeah, he
that
like
she's
pushed
competing
down on
against,
the leg or something, right?
yeah, I think he pushes down on the leg and it makes like her leg
Yeah, but
snap when she falls. It's a little weird, but
yeah,
like okay, she breaks her leg, and then yeah, you're kind of like, oh, that's like the end of the short, right? And then it cuts to uh
a man in a cage.
yeah, the host is in this
Yeah,
cage.
yeah, but you're not like you don't know immediately that's the host. At first, you
Yeah,
see like the parents, you see like the mom, because it showed us
yeah,
a couple instances of the parents, like their reaction to some of the stuff that was going on. Um, and the actress who played this mom was pretty funny.
yeah,
She
yeah,
was probably like the highlight. But yeah,
yeah.
it showed.
Sonia Eddy. She's actually been in lots of stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, really?
she's been in
Oh,
stuff like from the '90s. Like she was in probably smaller parts, but like Patch Adams, Inspector Gadget, Nutty
oh,
Professor 2, Barbershop,
okay. So I've
like
seen her in
Daddy
stuff then,
Daycare.
without really knowing.
Yeah, like tons of stuff, but never like I don't know. I guess she's just I didn't know her, but
Yeah. Yes. So,
she's great in this. Like
yeah.
she's so funny.
Yeah. We see her first though, and then you're kind of like, oh, that's the mom, and then the guy in the cage starts kind of like waking up a little bit more, and it's like, oh wait, okay, it's the host. It's been like a couple of years later, and they kidnapped the host because they're pissed off about what happened to their daughter,
Yeah.
who just like goth all of a sudden, I guess. I don't know, because of what happened,
Oh, I love.
and she's in
Yeah,
a
I
wheel
love
and
that. That
she's in
was
a
so funny.
wheelchair, and for some reason like they didn't amputate the leg. She's still like
Yeah,
has
it's
her
like
leg attached and it's
rotten
all
and
rotted and everything. It's like I'm pretty sure that'd be amputated. Whatever. Um,
yeah. I think it's just to make like everything feel grosser, you know?
Probably, and they're in what looks like some type of basement or something like that, and we see that the family recreated the obstacle course from the game show in like their own way, and
Yeah.
somehow they also made acid because they just have like this thing of acid that they keep
Oh yeah,
threatening to throw
I
on
love
them.
that
Like,
too.
how did
Like the
they?
mom is just carrying this
This,
like beaker of acid with her
yeah,
the whole time to like threaten the guy. Like
it's
I'm gonna throw this on you if
so
you don't.
bizarre.
Yeah.
How? Okay, whatever. So yeah, they just really want revenge, and they want, because I don't think you mentioned talking about it earlier, but if the winner of this whole thing is supposed to be
Oh yeah.
granted a wish, or it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, you kind of like well, you think it's gonna be like okay, like a Make a Wish Foundation type
yeah,
thing,
you think
right?
something like that, but then it's not that. But I guess we'll
Yeah,
talk about that later. But
yeah,
it's
we'll
like,
get to
okay,
that. Uh,
yeah, you just think like, okay, grants a wish. I don't know, like money or Make a Wish Foundation, like you're saying, but you don't know. But I think I even talked about it at one point. I was like, they almost make it sound like it's a genie or something granting a wish. Didn't I say that?
yeah, and I think I said before they went into their
You're like, I
like I
think it
said like
might.
it's gonna be some kind of monster or something, or they're gonna
Yeah,
like
because
get
that's where like the
eaten
horror element
by
of it's going to come
something.
from.
I guess we were both kind of right.
Yeah. I do want to talk about like the obstacle course and the stuff they have them do is
Oh
really
God,
gross
yeah.
because
There's one
we've said,
part that is genuinely disgusting, which is yeah, they recreate the obstacle course, and instead of like fake poop, it's clearly real like feces and shit. And it's like, oh my god,
yeah, it's
I
really
don't know.
gross.
You can like imagine the smell of that room, and it's awful.
Yeah. One
Like
funny
it's
line though
so,
is like he even asks like, what's the brown stuff? And she goes like, it ain't Bane dip.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
but like first, like he has to like run through glass shards too before that.
Oh
So
yeah.
like his feet are all messed up from that. Like you have to like run through grass shards and then crawl through poop.
Uh,
I mean,
uh,
they're just like torturing this guy. Like they are out for revenge, and they're basically just torturing the guy at this point.
yeah. This
Um,
one, like, I feel like it made me wince a couple times. Just
yeah,
like,
it's pretty like, and even before that, they kind of recreate some of the other stuff like they do in the game show. Like we didn't say like there's this
oh
contest
yeah,
where they like put these things on their head and they ram into balloons, and then like they have to do this thing where they catch chicken wings in their mouth. They kind of make him do like that kind of stuff, but instead of like they put like the helmet with knives on it and just like run into him.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
As soon as
oh
that helmet showed up, I was like, oh
yeah,
no.
you know what's gonna happen. And
Yeah,
then like they also try to like make him catch food in his mouth, but like they never say like the stuff that they have them do. It looks really gross. Like it's like slimy and it's
yeah,
just like slimy raw meat or something. But they never. I don't think they ever said what it was. But it's supposed it just looks gross. I could almost smell it even like through the screen. Like I can imagine what the smell would be. And they just like take it and like rub it on his face, and he like throws up after that. So it's just like, oh, it's just a lot of gross stuff that they do to him.
yeah. And so he goes through the obstacle course and just barely makes the time. Well, no, he doesn't make the time.
Yeah,
He's
they
like
say that he's a
just
couple
under it.
seconds too late. So
Yeah,
the mom gets ready to like throw acid, and then he says like, "Oh, I can grant you the wish. I know like where we need to go." Something
yeah,
along those lines.
yeah. He's like, I know how to get to Ozzy's dungeon. Like I know how to get there. And they they take him still hostage, but they take him to the studio where they had the Ozzy's Dungeon game show, because that was obviously the incident where the girl broke her leg, like canceled the show, right? Before anyone could like win at the game show. Uh, and they go to the back lot. They sneak into the studio, and I loved this part because like they still have the doors and everything there, and there's security outside, and they have like guns. They're like, oh man, they like really up security, and it's just like, why would they need like guys with machine guns for like what the hell? And, and then yeah, they go in and they open the doors, and they're in the game show before, like in just like the show, they had like this like almost like Amazon looking woman there, almost like as a presenter or just part of the whole sort of like aesthetic of the show. And then she's just there, still dressed as an Amazon. She's just there,
Yeah,
and you're like, wait, what
but
the fuck? Like what? And then yeah, they open the door where like Ozzy is supposedly, and then they go in, and I loved this. Like the guy's still tied up and everything, and the mom is still holding the beaker of acid the entire time.
yeah,
Like
like if you do anything, this you're
it's,
getting this
I
acid thrown on
don't know,
you.
that made me laugh. Like that's so funny. She's still just holding it, and then yeah, they're like going. They open the doors, and there's just like this dark cave that they're like this passageway that they have to go through, and they're like sneaking through it and everything. And like, and then at one point, like these two kids like come out like running past them, like dressed in the game show like attire. And you're like, it's just like the whole time you're just wondering like, what is
Yeah,
this?
this keeps just like escalating and escalating and getting weirder and more bizarre the more this was going on.
Yeah, and then they get to Ozzy, which is this like fat woman just lying on a table, and it's like you go and what happened? Like they go up to her, and
There's like people there
yeah, there's like
worshiping
all
her or
these like
something.
yeah, all these like cult members or something, like
Yeah,
almost
it's
like a
really weird.
ritualistic.
Yes, and you see like there's like this big cut on the stomach or something, or like slit where it looks
Yeah,
like something can come through. And then like when I saw that, I was like, something's gonna like come out of there.
yeah,
I mean, like her stomach is huge too. Like it's just like something's in their stomach. It's
yeah.
really weird.
Yeah, and then yeah,
And
a
then
big
Ozzy pops out, I guess.
yeah, this big purple looking monster thing, this like cosmic horror monster just pops out of the stomach, and but it actually grants the girl's wish, and I guess the girl's wish was to like kill the parents
Yeah, it just like
and
melts
everyone there.
everyone's face.
Yeah, and and then the short ends with the camera
They're
like
grinning, like
yeah,
I got
just
my
right on a
wish.
picture of her
I
grinning,
wanted.
which is both hilarious and kind of creepy. It was great ending, like very just bizarre buildup. Like
Yeah, that's the best way to put. I don't know like any other way to put this than bizarre.
yeah,
This whole thing was just so bizarre.
but
It's entertaining though.
yeah, I really like this
I
one.
was invested from beginning to end because of how bizarre and how like crazy everything just kept getting and escalating. Yeah, just is weird. Really, really weird.
Yeah, and it's not just like I mean the first turn where it's like, oh, it's the game show, but then oh, it's the parents kidnapping the host and putting them through this makeshift game show. It's almost like, okay, even the game show part, it could have ended and it would have been like, okay, that was a fun little short. And then the makeshift game show, you're like, oh, okay, that's a great idea of like these parents getting revenge on this guy. And then it just like that extra step further of like they go and they see Ozzy. It's like just the cherry on top. Like it's just yeah, like really entertaining. Uh yeah, I thought this one was really good. Uh I'll give my rating for it. If there's nothing else to say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, I'd give it like 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was really like I don't know, just solid. I still remember like lots of stuff from it. It was really funny too. I think it's probably the funniest short in the movie.
Yeah,
Uh
I'd probably give it a 3.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's
It's
definitely solid. Like
yeah, it's very memorable because it's very bizarre, but it's like you said, there's a lot of points where it's really funny. It's also really gross though.
yeah, it's
I
definitely
remember
gross. Like
I remember it for the gross parts too, like just legit nasty stuff. But I was also engaged the whole time
yeah.
because it's so bizarre and it just kept getting weirder and jumping the shark and then jumping another shark. Um, and I remember the characters.
Yeah, yeah,
So
the mom is like
yeah, the mom was
she's so
actually
funny in
pretty
this.
funny. So yeah, this one was probably my favorite.
I'm still debating on which one is my favorite.
I think this one was
I
mine, even though it
I
was
liked the
gross.
last one a lot, but it's like they're so different.
This one
So
left a much bigger impression on me. So
I think I can agree with that. Like it
I
definitely
think
was
this
like,
one would be like the standout one.
yeah, I'm not forgetting that one.
Just because like there's no other segment or anything in like this whole franchise I think that's quite like this one.
No, yeah, even something like Safe Haven, there's like escalation and there's like a lot of, you know, yeah, build up in it, but it's not as like Safe Haven is like legit more just kind of scary and
Yeah,
intense.
yeah, this one is just like the whole like premise with like being in a game show and then this family that's out for revenge and then it, you know, having like a really kind of unpredictable ending because we kind of like gave our thoughts like before they were like kind of when they were going into that dungeon what we kind of thought was going to happen and
Yeah.
that wasn't even remotely it.
Yeah, it was much stranger.
So yeah, I this one at least for like for this movie, this was like the most memorable segment for me.
Yeah, I think for me, it's either between this one or the last one. I like them both for very different reasons. So yeah, I say let's move
Well,
on to the next two.
definitely like this one and the last one. Well, I won't say anything about it yet. Are the ones that are the most.
I think they keep this movie afloat.
Yeah, because
Like
they.
without them, this movie I don't really think like if like Ozzy's Dungeon was the only really good one, I think it would still be like, okay, go watch that short, but maybe not like watch the whole movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think because those ones like they're also pretty entertaining from beginning to end. I think they're ones that like engage you the most. Probably have the most
yes.
memorable characters, memorable
Yeah,
settings,
I think
stuff
that's
like
a good
that.
thing too. Like they both had really good characters. Yeah, yeah, we'll get to the last one. There's only one between them, so
Yeah.
uh, yeah, the this one is sort of the wraparound, but not really. It's essentially like between the other shorts prior to this one, like there's these clips of this guy making these little like home movies with like army, plastic army guys, and making a little story out of that. And I thought those parts were really fun. Uh, they were just like a nice little bit of like uh, kind of like yeah, like kind of home craft creativity. Uh, there are actually parts that made me laugh in them.
Yeah, it's too bad
Um,
like the actual segment that it kind of segues into isn't doesn't do anything really with that because that stuff was more memorable than the actual segment.
yeah, I thought okay, this segment was.
It's probably
I
like the
feel like
second worst one
yeah,
in this.
I would say this one was like wasted potential because there's certain things in it that I was like, oh, that would have been a great idea, but they didn't do it. Um, okay, well, yeah, essentially this segment is about these teenagers again, these annoying teenagers, and these ones are like really scummy.
Yeah, you almost
What
think
they
it's like,
do,
man, they're trying to like one up the ones from the first segment.
yeah. Uh, it's like these like three teenagers,
Yeah,
and
they're mostly just horny teenagers. Like that's like this whole
yeah,
situation really is just like they're horny teenagers, and well, that ends up being their downfall was because they were
yeah,
horny teenagers.
and so yeah, so they live in this like cul-de-sac, and there's this really hot woman who lives in a house like kind of across the way, and they keep like peeping on her and like when she's in the pool and stuff like that.
Yeah, they watch her from her window too. Like
Yeah,
they live in a house across, so they look at her window. Like they keep hoping to see her naked. Essentially,
yeah,
that's like
and
their ultimate goal because they're horny teenagers.
yeah, it's funny. This one feels like it would have fit better in like the first VHS film. I feel like the first two VHS films had a little bit more of a like a voyeuristic sleaze to them. Like the first like wraparound segment in the very first movie is like these guys who like go around and like pulling women's shirts up and like exposing their breasts like for the camera and stuff like that against their will. And it's like, oh, that's like really sleazy and awful. And then like VHS 94, I didn't feel like really had that or viral. So this one kind of felt like it was kind of like that. Not even saying that's a good thing, it's just an observation. But like that's kind of like what this short is. It's just like them being horny for this woman for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
then you can finally see where this might be going, where like the little brother has been kind of helping her out. So she asks him to like install some kind of webcam that she can
Yeah, because she
use.
gets a new Mac
Yeah,
computer. This is
and
1999, so like
yeah,
it's a very old Mac computer, very
yeah, but
early.
like at least like you kind of start getting like where this is going. Oh, they're gonna set up a webcam, and then they want the brother to put some spyware on there so they can see the webcam from their computer, and it's like okay,
Yes.
they're gonna reveal some like secret twist about her, and it's gonna be like some monster or something that she's going to be, because this is VHS. It's going to be something like horror ish. So you kind
Yeah,
of understand like at that point what's going to go on.
yeah, and it's sort of like it's sort of like a short where it feels like the audience is like 2 steps ahead of the movie, where it's like, okay, yeah, we know what's going to happen. Like, yeah, it's going to be a
Hmm.
monster. The only thing we don't really know for sure is like what kind of
What kind of
monster it
monster?
is.
Yeah.
And when it's revealed, it's kind of like it's so it feels like such an afterthought that it's just kind of lame.
Yeah, because they don't even really do a lot with it.
No, yeah, it's revealed that she's like a gorgon, like a Medusa, snake hair, and if you look at her, like it'll
Turns
turn
to
to
stone.
stone.
Yeah.
Uh,
So she like
which
she's
that's the only thing that really feels like it's sort of a thematic thing is like, they're oogling her the whole time, they're watching her, and then she's a monster that, like, looking directly at her turns you to stone.
yeah,
That's the only thing that really feels like there's any kind of thought put in. But I didn't even think of that while watching it. Like, I literally just thought of that.
yeah.
One thing I did think about while watching it was like, I don't know how the hell they didn't do this. She's a Medusa, right? You can't look at her or she'll turn you to stone. Why wasn't there a part where they're like, oh, but if you look in the camera, at her, you
She
don't
would
turn
be
to
the same.
stone.
Yeah.
That would be a great excuse for them to actually still be filming, because it's like, okay, they spy on her, she turns into a Medusa, and then like she just immediately goes to their house and crashes through the window and like
And
starts attacking them.
yeah, I think she
It's
ends up
like,
killing like two of
why would
them or
you still
something.
hold the camera? Like that's always the thing with these found footage films. It's like, why are you still filming? Like, you should just be running, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, if they had that like as a clever excuse, like, oh, I'm not going to turn to stone if I look at her, like if I turn the camera around and look at her through the thing. They could have had the character running out the house and then she flies at them or something, like in Amateur Night from the first VHS film or something. Like, but there's like really nothing clever about it. I think that's just kind of the thing with this one. It's like, why is this even like
Yeah,
this
the
got
whole the
mispainted
whole
in?
payoff, the whole payoff to it feels very weak.
Yeah, it's like, okay, the kids turn to stone or are killed, or and then that's it.
Yeah.
There's only like one really kind of funny thing is like after the entire movie is done, it like cuts back to the camera angle where like the kid's like in the frame and like turned to stone. And he's like still turned to stone. But I was really expecting, like, again, I feel like I was 2 steps ahead of the movie where like, why don't the parents come back and find the kid
Yeah,
like
that's what we were
turned
kind
to
of
stone?
thinking, because it's like, oh, this would be really awkward to come back to. So
Yeah,
it
it's
almost
like,
like when it comes back to that, you almost think like, oh, like are the parents going to come home and you know something going to happen there? No.
yeah, it's just like, what, why is this a thing? Why is this a short in the movie? It's so weak. It
Yeah.
feels like, again, it feels like something from the first VHS where like not even just the voyeuristic aspect, but like the first VHS, like it has good shorts, but like they don't feel like they're quite there at times, where they're like, it's the first film, so it's like a little excusable, like they don't quite know what to do yet and everything, but like, I don't know, for something, this series has like done enough now where it's like, okay, there are these sort of bars that are set for quality and like what should be happening in these, and like this one just like doesn't really feel like it's even trying that hard. So I don't know. I don't remember who directed this one. I'm gonna look. Uh, no one I know. Tyler McIntyre. Uh, probably not done like a lot of stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much else to say about this one. It's just kind of weak. Um,
Yeah.
not like a terrible segment, but just not anything.
Underwhelming.
Yeah, very underwhelming. I would give it like, I don't know, 2 out of 5.
I'd probably give it 1.5.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I have my list here of like how I rated all the segments. I'm like, wow, I wrote down 5 out of 10 for this one. That's definitely not that high. Uh hmm. I'm gonna stick with 2. It wasn't like I hated it or anything, or I didn't think it was that bad. It was just kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
it's there,
pretty much.
easily skippable.
Yeah.
So yeah, two for me. Um, and then the last segment, to Hell and Back. This was the one I was really excited for because it's directed by uh, Joseph and Vanessa Winters, who directed Deadstream, which we talked about a couple weeks earlier. And I love Deadstream. It's like one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Uh, I thought it was like really funny and entertaining and clever. Uh, and this one I thought was like really, really solid. I enjoyed this one a lot. And I think it was a good one to end the movie on. Um, yeah, it's essentially about it's like at the end of 1999, turning over to 2000. This like coven of witches are like gathered in this house for New Year's Eve, and like they're trying to perform a ritual where they have this woman who is very voluntary. Like she's very like excited to be a
Yeah,
part of
a
this.
little too excited.
Yeah, she's like, I've always wanted to do something bigger, with my life, and uh, they are essentially going to summon a demon to inhabit this woman's body. Uh, what was the demon's name? I forgot.
I do not remember.
Let me see. Uh, Ukaban, that was it.
Ooga booga. Okay.
Ooga Booga, yeah.
Ooga
And
booga.
so they're gonna summon Ooga Booga into this woman's body, and like and they're doing it between like right at midnight to make it more powerful. But while they're sort of preparing the ceremony and everything,
Something goes horribly wrong.
yeah, this other demon, uh, this uninvited demon, just shows up. Which the first time you see it, it's like kind of freaky. It's just like kind of in the corner, and
Yeah, like what was that?
there. It's like that got this like freaky face. I was like, I don't know if you've like seen this game, The Mortuary's Assistant. It's been like kind of big on YouTube recently. It's like this like horror game. There's this
No,
there's
I
this
heard of
one
it.
like monster in it that just shows up randomly in this room, and it's like,
Its name also Ooga Booga.
no, it's not called. I don't think it's called Ooga Booga. If it is called Ooga Booga, that'd be hilarious. But like,
Yeah, I'm
it,
just teasing.
it just has like I didn't like rewind and or go back and like look at the face, but just like it reminded me of that. But yeah, this like uninvited demon shows up, and so the witches like are like, you're not invited here, and they start doing a spell to cast that demon back to hell. But once they cast the spell, uh, the demon grabs onto these two guys who are there just filming. Like they're not part of the coven or anything. They're just these two random guys who are there to like film it, and they get sucked back into hell with this demon, and they
Sucker for
have
them.
to, yeah, then they have to make their way back from hell. Uh, so they meet this other demon when they're in hell, named Mabel, and she acts as like a kind of Gollum Smeagol type guide for them through
Yeah,
hell.
very Smeagol.
Yeah,
Definitely
very
some
much.
inspiration there.
And she's played by the same actress who played Mildred in Deadstream, Melanie Stone. And the guy holding the camera in this one is also he played Sean Reddy in Deadstream, and he's the co-director, Joseph Winters. So it's very seeing Deadstream and then watching this was kind of fun because there's like those cameos, and there's even a cameo from one of the monsters from Deadstream, which now they just got to put that weird looking
in all of them.
dog in all their films now, because I love that weird looking thing. And but yeah, it was kind of funny because it's like after watching Deadstream, and I've seen Deadstream twice now, like just hearing Joseph Winter's voice was very funny. It's like, oh, it's Sean Reddy again.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought too.
Yeah. But he's there with this other guy, and
yeah, their back and forth is pretty funny too, because
yeah,
they're kind of like friends, but they have beef with each other, so they're kind of
yeah.
just like, oh, I do this and I do that. No, you don't do that.
This yeah, like this is another short in this movie that actually like established character pretty well.
Yeah,
Like like the beef between these two characters, and Mabel, just having like a lot of like, you know, very like immediately like you kind of understand what kind of character she is. And then even like the woman
Meagle.
who's like voluntary in this ceremony, like giving her body away, is like, oh, that's funny. And then
I'm just really happy to be here, guys.
yeah. And
Essentially,
yeah. And she, well, yeah, they basically kind of figure like, okay, well, we're in hell because that demon dragged us back with it when they cast it out of the room. And then they're like, well, okay, then we can get back the same way. They're gonna summon this demon and put that demon into this woman's body, right? We'll both, you know, go up there with that demon, and that's how we'll get back. And so their quest now is to find this demon, and there's a ticking clock element where like they have to get there before midnight because that's when they're gonna, you know, bring the demon up. And this one, I thought this segment just looked so cool, like the production of like just like how they made hell look was great. All those like jagged rocks and everything. I assume it was like a set that they probably just shot from different angles and stuff. But like it looks really cool. The lighting and everything, that like red. And there's parts where like, you know, there's like red lightning. You know, the sky will light up and stuff. Just like really, really like well done visually. And yeah, it's kind of just like they have all these like different weird encounters with demons and stuff. I think maybe my favorite one is like they pass by this really like small demon that like has like a, what is it, like a little spear, like a little like
oh yeah,
weapon
and he takes
next to it,
it.
but it's just like lying down sleeping. Like and like he just goes up and like steals the weapon from it, and you're like expecting like, oh, it's gonna jump up, right? You're like, no, it just keeps sleeping. I don't know why. And it's I don't know, it's just funny too. I love their effects because at times it's like very obviously like an effect, you know. And I felt like that was one of those times where it was like that, but they do it for like an intentional kind of funny, you know, like joke. It's like, oh yeah, it's like clearly just like they made the prop or whatever and then just put it there. You know, there's nothing about it that like is moving like it's sleeping or anything like that. But it's, I don't know, it's just funnier that it's just like so still. uh yeah, I don't know. They just like trek through hell. And yeah, there's like the character stuff with the two guys having beef with each other. But they're like friends, but I'm just gonna call him Sean Reddy. But like Joseph Winter's character is like holding the camera. It's like, no, what do you mean you have like I'm not a good person? And because like that because earlier on they're saying like, oh, like, only bad people get sent to hell. It's like, well, I'm not a bad person. The friend's like, kind of like, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
uh but yeah, it's nice. They have like a little, you know uh arc between the two of them. uh the one guy says like, you're never there for me, and you don't stick by me. And then, like, of course, like, he actually stays back and helps the guy out. uh and then I like the little thing with Mabel too, where Mabel wants to, like, she's almost like a lower demon or whatever, and then they she kind of asks them to, like, uh you know put my name in the book and make me a bigger demon. uh and I don't know, what are there any things that happen that were like really noteworthy during the trek? I'm trying to think. There's some like cool fights with like some demons and stuff. uh and I know, like, there's like one part where like Sean like cuts his hand, and then they have to like walk across like rocks or something. So Mabel puts the he's like, I can't hold the camera and like just crawl with one hand. Like, oh, okay, we'll just attach the camera to your head.
GoPro.
It was a GoPro, yeah, which made it feel even more like Deadstream.
Yeah. Like, is that supposed to be like a little hint towards it, or that
Yeah,
they might be doing that on purpose?
I don't know which one was done first, because like they feel. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, obviously, like found footage and like same actors and stuff like that. But I don't know which one they made first. Probably Deadstream, I assume, because I assume that VHS 99 was put into production like as soon as VHS 94 was like, the biggest, streaming premiere on their site. So I assume this was done after, and that they probably were intentionally nodding to things in Deadstream. And it's kind of interesting too, because like usually with these anthology films and stuff, like it's kind of like a way for like up and coming horror directors and stuff to, like, put a short out there and get it seen. And then years later you see like these directors actually making feature films, like David Bruckner, who did Amateur Night in the first VHS film, like I think like 5 years after that film, finally came out with his first feature, The Ritual, on Netflix, which I thought was an okay movie, but the last like 15 minutes are really strong. And then he made like The Night House, which I thought was great, and then he made the new Hellraiser. But it's like interesting with this one. It's like we saw Deadstream first because it premiered first on Shudder, and now we're seeing like the short film. It's kind of interesting, because usually it's the other way around. So it's like kind of fun to see those little nods to the other film. Yeah, I'm thinking like uh, I will say between Ozzy's Dungeon and this, like I remember more of like every beat from Ozzy's Dungeon. Where this one I thought was like just really consistently like fun and like well done, solid, So it's like, yeah, I like them in different ways. And like this one does feel more of like an adventure, just like a fun little like trek through hell and everything. But the ending, I really liked the ending where they actually managed to get to this demon, Ooga Booga, Ukabon,
Ooga booga booga.
and grab onto it while it's being summoned up. And I will say the monsters in this were really cool. I'm really enjoying the Winters like monster designs. Like in Deadstream, every monster looked really different. And even in this, even though there's like one, carryover monster, it's like they all feel very different, and have like unique designs and stuff. Like really cool. And then Yeah, they get uh brought back up from hell, but the one guy, not Sean Reddy, ends up in the body of the woman.
Somehow.
Which, yeah, which is what I don't know where Ukabon went. Ukabon isn't there, I don't
Yeah,
think.
good question.
But Sean Reddy is there, and he's like on the floor, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it, we did it." The other guy's in like the body of the woman, and the Coven of Witches are just like, you fucked up our ritual, and just like
You must
immediately
die
killed him.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
They made
it,
it through just to die at the end.
yeah. But Sean Reddy does the book is there, and he writes Mabel's name in the book. So it's like a nice little, character moment. I don't know. That's the stuff that put this and Ozzy's Dungeon apart, is like just like good creativity and good character stuff. Uh I think the other ones really lacked that. Because I mean, To Hell and Back isn't like the most like, if you want to just really just break it down to its surface level, it's not like the most original idea or anything. It's just like, okay, yeah, they two people adventure from hell and back. Okay. But it's like the way they tell the story and everything. Like the Gawkers one with the Medusa could have been really cool. But it just doesn't, yeah, it doesn't have that strength in the directing and writing. So yeah, I don't know. I really like this one. Um, I don't know which one's my favorite. I like them in very different ways. But it's definitely between this and Ozzy's Dungeon for me. Um, Maybe I'll like have more of a definitive opinion when I rewatch it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I would give this like a solid 3.5 for me. I really enjoyed the whole thing. Just a very like quick, fun, short. Uh,
Yeah, pretty
that's
solid
solid.
overall. I didn't like this one quite as much, I think, as Ozzy's Dungeon. I
Mhm.
probably would give it like a 2.5 because I gave Ozzy's Dungeon 3.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah, that's the film. It basically ends there, and then the credits roll, and then it cuts back to like the teenager still stuck in the statue or whatever. Uh, so yeah, that's it. I guess just overall thoughts to end it. Would you? I don't know. Did you overall like the film?
I think overall, I'd probably lean more towards liking it than disliking it, even though I think like there's two segments in there that are pretty good, and then there's two that are like okay, and then one that's bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
For me, it's
you
like,
know, it's like it leans more towards being good than bad, but I didn't think it was anything amazing overall
yeah.
as a whole
I
package.
definitely thought. What? Sorry, what?
I'm just, like as a whole package,
Yeah,
because the bad and okay stuff is just in there too. I think it's like just a package. It's just like okay overall.
yeah. I agree, because, and the thing with these like anthology films too is like a lot of times they only feel as strong as their weakest link in a way. I feel like the first segment really drags this whole thing down for me. Um, I mean, like, even though I don't think it's the absolute worst VHS segment, I think it is definitely like second or third worst. Uh, and then, yeah, Ozzy's Dungeon and To Hell and Back I really liked, but they're not like incredible shorts. Like Safe Haven and like Amateur Night, I really loved, and I particularly really liked the Storm Drain, the Ratma segment from the last one, and the Empty Wake, the one where like the woman's uh, like uh, watching over the guy's coffin or whatever, like waiting for everyone to show up to like the funeral. That one, I like that one a lot. Um, these ones, like Ozzy's Dungeon and To Hell and Back, are pretty good though. Um, and then yeah, I liked Suicide Bid. Just needed a little more, like the extra step. Gawker's was weak, so I don't know. I'm thinking about like what to give this overall. Because I think I like calculated my averages for like each film, uh, and this one ended up being like a 2.5. I think that's a pretty good score for this movie, even though I liked Ozzy's Dungeon into Hell and Back quite a bit. I just think the rest of it kind of drags it down. So yeah, I'm giving it 2.5.
Hmm, what should I give it? I probably will give it a 2 then. I think I didn't enjoy it quite as much as you, and I think it's kind of like what you said. Like these films are like as strong as their weakest link, and I think this had a pretty weak link overall because of that first segment, and then just because two of them are just kind of like okay, they're not bad, but they're nothing great either, and then it has like some like two like fairly decent ones. Well, that's 3 out of 5 that are either just bad or just kind of okay.
Yeah,
And then two that are like either like, oh, that was like pretty entertaining, pretty good. So yeah, I think 2 is a pretty fair score. Because again, you have to judge like the whole thing. So as an entire package, I'd say
yeah.
2.
Now, okay, I don't want this to go on too long or anything, but because we're talking about VHS 99, it's like our first time talking about this series. Uh, from what you remember, at least, I've seen these films more recently overall, but like from what you remember, what would if you had to like kind of compile a like if there was like a way to do a VHS greatest hits film and you had to pick like 5 shorts for them, like what do you think you would pick? I
Well,
definitely think like Safe Haven.
yeah, that's
I
probably the
think
one I
it's
remember the most. Because
yeah.
I remember from one. I've only seen one once back when it
Oh
first
really?
came
Okay.
out. I remember the succubus. It was a succubus, right?
Yeah,
Something
amateur.
like that. I remember that short. I think that, and then there was like another one in the first one where there was like this couple, and then she ends up like killing him.
Oh yeah, that's the second one.
Yeah,
Second honeymoon.
I think that's the only. Those were the only two I remember from the first one. So, and like I don't know like if I'd pick either of those. And then like two, I remember Safe Haven. That was the best one, and I think there's like the Alien one from VHS two.
Yeah, which recently got expanded into a feature, Kids versus
Okay,
Aliens,
and then I
which
think
I
and then
saw
there
it
was
was really good.
yeah the short itself I remember just being okay, but and then I think there was like one with hands coming out of a house in the second one. That was like the last.
No, that's the first one. That's the last
Oh,
one.
that's the first one. Okay, I
Yeah.
remember that. Um, and then I didn't finish Spiral, so I don't really
Oh,
remember
none
anything
of
about
them.
that.
None of the ones from Viral. I would.
Yeah, and then like what was it, 94?
Yeah, 94.
94. The Rotman one, that one was like pretty
That was
memorable.
that was good. The ending
Maybe
of that one with the newscaster.
yeah.
That's
There was uh the one you just talked about, the funeral one. That one was
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
neat. And I remember the last one, there was like these, I don't know, rednecks or something that had like a
Oh yeah.
vampire. That one was okay, I guess. I
I
don't
think
remember
that
that
was
one.
the weakest. That was the weakest one from that one.
Those are all the ones
Who
like
lost it though?
that I remember right off the top of my head. So
Yeah, I'm trying. Like, I think my 5 would be Safe Haven is like
yeah, that's still
is
the
the
best
safe bet.
one.
That
That one's still probably the best one.
I think anyone would agree that's the best of any of these films. Like that was like that was so good it could have like been expanded into a feature film. Like
Yeah.
honestly. I really like the amateur night segment, this the succubus one from the first one. Really like just clever use of like the camera and the glasses and like that woman's acting. I forgot her name. I think it's like Hannah Fleischman or something like that. She's great in that role as the succubus. And then I really like the Ratma segment from VHS 94, and I like the Empty Wake. I think those are like my top four. And like the fifth one would be hard for me to pick. I like the segment from VHS 2 with the zombie with the GoPro on his head. That one's really fun. Like watching that one again, I really enjoyed that.
I don't really remember that one.
And I like the Slumber Party alien abduction one that got turned into Kids versus Aliens, but like Kids versus Aliens exists now, so I'd rather just watch that. Even though I thought the short version was good too. And then I do like the subject, which was the one from 94 with the like cyborg lady. It's like directed by the same guy who did Safe Haven.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that one now.
Yeah, that one was
Yeah,
really cool.
That one was interesting.
I need to watch VHS 94 again because it's only been a year, but I really liked it. I think it's a more consistent film than VHS 2. Like the first segment in VHS 2 is kind of weak. But like the Safe Haven's like really strong. And I like Ride in the Park and Slumber Party Alien Abduction. I will say too, like I like now that 94 and 99 exist, that like they're actually taking place in decades and like in years that VHS was actually a thing, so it makes sense to call it VHS. Like the first movie, there's only one segment that took place like that was actually VHS quality, that was like it. Everything, like there was like one on a Skype call, there was one like with a camera in the glasses and stuff. It's like everything was modern. Not that it was like a deal breaker or anything, but it's nice now that like these films are actually being thematic. And then I think the next one that's coming out next year is called VHS 90. I'm sorry, VHS 85. And it's got David Bruckner, who did Amateur Night, is coming back. Scott Derrickson, who did the first Doctor Strange, and he did Sinister, is directing a short. There's like a few other directors I'm not as familiar with, but hopefully they can pull off something good. I kind of like, because we watched like all the Paranormal Activity films in theaters, and that was like pretty much yearly. It'd be nice to have, like, if this continues as like a yearly, an annual found footage like event, just hopefully they up the quality, from this one, because I overall enjoyed it, but it definitely needed more. Yeah, just like trim. I think if they at least trimmed the first segment out, like it would be a much stronger movie. But oh god, it's not like VHS Viral where there was one segment in the film that was entirely cut. Do you remember that? It was called Gorgeous Vortexes or something like that. And it was like originally supposed to be in the film, but it got cut out entirely. And I watched it, and now I know why. It's not even found footage. It's like,
there you go.
It's just a short film, but with no dialogue. But like, I don't know if it's the director's fault or like the filmmaker's fault, like the producers who just like didn't tell him what found footage was, or if the guy didn't understand. But like, how do you like make a film for a series without doing any research? Like, if you watched the first two films, you would know what the style of this series is. Like, so if that is any kind of indicator of quality for VHS viral. Like that's it. I still really like the series overall, and I want it to continue, even though I'm still giving this a 2.5. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I'm just rambling now. I'm thinking what we're next week. I'm actually holding a get together with us and hopefully Dustin and some other friends. We're gonna watch some movies. I don't know exactly what we'll watch, but we should watch something that we'll talk about next week. So we don't know what it is. Who knows? Maybe we'll just talk about the whole night and what we watched. Who knows? But yeah, there's no decided film yet, but we'll definitely talk about something. So that's it for this time. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
Nope.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, join us next time for
Something.
a mystery movie.
Halloween-y. Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, maybe something Halloween-y, maybe something just new, and some new horror movie that we'll talk about. We'll see. Should be fun though. I don't think I'm not going to show anything that's not going to be something interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what we talk about. So we'll see you then. Bye.